Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Delina. Today we're going to be doing my living room. I know if you're like me, when all the Christmas stuff comes down, you just like, I need to breathe a little. And then it starts the reset. Do you put it exactly back the way it was prior to Christmas or fall? For me, it would be all the way back to before August, because we decorate for fall and then we decorate for Christmas. So my house has not been this bare since August. So it's a little weird. Sometimes I get bored. Hence, I decorate all the time and I change things around. The living room for me is probably the toughest room in my house to decorate. It's open concept. It's open to my dining room. If you're curious to see what that looks like, that was last week's video. It's one great big room, but the living room side to me always seems kind of boring. I did the fireplace. When we first moved in, it was just a shelf and it was all this weird orangey beige tile that I painted. And then my son built me like a mantle box. And I lived with that for a while. And then last year we did the DIY where I did it more of a traditional look to my fireplace with some molding and some faux paint treatments. And that's what it looks like today behind me. So I did that to kind of jazz up my living room. The curtains or the drapes were from Unicurt. They gifted me custom drapes. So that helped too. And then I got a new couch versus the old beige one that used to match my recliner. Okay, that all being said and done, it still doesn't feel like I would want it. Finn, come on. Finn's messing with the tripod again. So I went on an AI. You hear it all the time. I went to Chat GPT and said, hey, show me what you would do. That was a joke for me. It literally said, it looks great, don't do anything. Maybe pare down your wall above the couch and maybe add another chair. I'm like, well, thanks. Yeah, you didn't really help, but great tool. I use it if I want to see what a paint color looks like. If I'm looking to move something around, I will say, hey, can you tell me what this looks like if I were to move this? That works great. For me, it did not work great when I was saying, hey, I want a new look. Yeah. It did help me with the grouping above the couch. That was about it. All right, enough chit chat. Thank you so much last week for all the recommendations and suggestions that you gave me for my dining room chairs and fish tank. I am probably going to paint those chairs a beige or a creamy white and then wax them, because a lot of you said go ahead and like use a dark wax on them. I tried it in a little spot and it just made it look dirty. So I'm like, okay, I need to tone these down a little bit from the stark bright white to a more creamy white. The fish tank, a lot of you gave different suggestions. I love the one that's like, I forget, she suggested copper in the inserts. And I thought, fantastic idea. Dollar Tree used to sell these gray faux tin wall tiles. They don't sell them anymore. I thought those would have been great. I could have cut those for $1, probably 50. I could have spray painted them copper and then put them in the air inserts. So I'm still mulling that about to see how I'm going to be able to do that. That'll probably be in a later video this year of what I do to make all that blend. All right, let's get with the living room. Okay, this is like where the dining room is. This is where my family room, living room starts. We have the couch that I purchased last year at a thrift store. We have an end table, some lamps. I have a antique wash stand over here underneath the window, prime cat viewing space. I have those drapes, like I mentioned, the fireplace with the gigantic TV above it. The cat tree that we have to have because we have dogs that will eat the cat food otherwise. Plus it works as a scratching post if you have cats. The French doors out back. Don't mind the molding. It's a project my husband's been supposed to do for the last 2 weeks and hasn't gotten around to it. The pass-through to the kitchen, which will be another video. And then just the recliner here. And that's really it. And then we have my rug that I thrifted. And all the goodies we're going to decorate with. So let's get started with the grouping above the couch. Now I'm not going to take that down. It took me long enough to figure out the whole spacing and whatnot. The swan is a poster that I got off of Amazon. I don't think they sell it anymore. If they do, I'll link it. Oh, say hello, Jasper. They missed you because you weren't in last week's video. You were sleeping. Is the inside is an 11 by 14 art piece I got off Aldi's. But I needed something larger. So I had this frame and I had the mat. What I did is I put the glass behind the mat. I then glued that 11 by 14 to the mat, which made it a larger piece of art without the glass, without spending any money. And then added just 2 little pieces of art, one oval, one little 5x7 up there. And that's my grouping that ChatGPT told me I should do. So that at least worked out for me, and I had everything here. It did not cost me anything. So, okay, this is a take 2. I did not like how squared off it all looked. I added another picture up there with the bird. I need a little tiny something underneath that bird. Not sure what yet. Suggestions would be great. But this is what I came up with. I like an asymmetrical look. I do not like a matchy-matchy. It is not my thing. I love how an asymmetrical flows and brings your eye about that you're not expecting it all to match, if that makes sense. Okay, moving on to the couch. We have Mr. Jasper, who's left a nice little dent in my couch because that's his sleeping spot. And I am going to add a couple of pillows. Okay, on the couch, I have added 4 pillows and a throw. The throw, although it's close to the color of the couch, adds texture. The pillows add pattern. So the sage colored one was a thrifted pillow cover. The other ones I sewed myself. So fabric that I had, the green one was 2 placemats that I sewed together to make like a lumbar pillow. So I think it adds coziness to the home when you add pattern and texture. Now on the end table here, okay, I have added my antique typewriter here at the bottom with some vintage postcards and a striped napkin just to give it a little bit more of a presence and add another pattern. On top, I've added a couple of coffee table books underneath the lamp and a faux plant in a yellow metal vase that I had thrifted. It adds to another layer of materials, and it adds the yellow from the pillows and the rug over here to the coffee table. Moving on to the washstand. Okay, I have added one of my cheese boxes that I dark waxed, a doily, a candle, and a candle snuffer. And I've raised that lamp up to give it of height and a visual presence. I do leave that little space next to it open because the cats love to sit and watch the birds. There's a bird bath right outside the window. So that's all I'm gonna do to that space. And then at the end of the decorating, I will give you a close-up of everything so you can see in detail some of the items. Okay, we are going to talk about the mantle. Now I have this gigantic TV up here and not a whole lot of decorating space for the mantle. I am going to add some candlesticks and a faux plant and some of that garland that I used over in the dining room, I'm going to bring over here. And I'm also going to add a wallpaper for the TV so you'll see the difference. Okay, I have a book box, just one of those that opens, great storage. These work great for remotes, for decor. I use it basically up here to add some height on the end of the mantle. Move over a little bit. I have that one of those pieces of garland that I used. I buy them from Hobby Lobby and then I cut them up and use them. So I am just gonna kind of place that up there. Okay, I have added a candlestick and an LED candle here on the end. I changed my mind, and just so you know, and then added a little bit more of that garland. Now to the other end, I'm gonna add some candlesticks on an LED, those LED candles that are on a timer. I have another book. To that one there. I am gonna add wooden candlestick, one of those LED candles. Some more of that garland, another LED candle and wood stick. And I'm gonna take that garland and kind of use the candlestick as an anchor. There we go. And then I'm gonna kind of zhuzh it around. So you don't even really see the book, but you do see the garland and the books. Okay, and I will turn the camera around and let you see what the mantle looks like. Okay, so you see here by adding that wallpaper from YouTube, it takes that dark box and makes it look like a painting. Now, the three candlesticks, the holders, unfortunately, I got them from Amazon about a year ago. They do not have them anymore, or else I would link them. And then the garland just adds another green and textural element to the mantle. Now, moving down to my hearth, we very rarely use our fireplace here in Georgia. Although, probably this weekend we could use it. It's gonna be extra cold here. I have added 3 of my crocks here on the corner. I have added a faux plant to the larger of my crocks and some birch logs to that one crock, and then the dark brown jug just adds another color here instead of it all being all white and cream. So this is what my fireplace looks like all together. All right, we're gonna move down to the coffee table. Now on the coffee table, I kept it super simple because I have so much going on around it. I just took a doily that, again, my grandmother had made, and I was fortunate enough to have all of them. A dough bowl with some faux apples and a little sprig of greenery. And that is all my coffee table is. Now you could add more candles here. You could add some books. Sky's the limit to what you want to do with your coffee table. I just chose to keep it very, very simple. And lastly, we have my recliner over here in the corner. Now, yes, I would love to find a love seat or 2 matching recliners. Would be great in this space across from the couch. Still looking for those, but we have to have a recliner in my home. I've had several back surgeries, knee replacement. A recliner is a must. So I've added just another green pillow, and this time like in a plaid that picks up the green from my kitchen. Another throw just over the arm of it. The end table has a box that contains all our remotes and little things to keep, you know, the clutter down. It used to have a lamp, but unfortunately the dogs were playing a little too rough and it broke. So, okay, we're gonna move on to the antique desk vanity here over by my French doors. Okay, up top on the wall, that's through my pass-through to my kitchen. I have a hook rack up here that I keep baskets. I added a little natural wreath inside that one basket, some eucalyptus, and then I hung those loom shuttles that I got back before Christmas up here inside of this basket to add an unexpected element. Okay, moving down, as you can see. All right, we're gonna move right here. I've added a freestanding lamp to take the place of the lamp that got busted. So, okay, the first element that I am gonna add is a doily. Now, I am blessed. Like I said, I had a grandmother who made a ton of these. Sometimes you can find them in the thrift stores for not much money. I like the different shaped ones, and I think it just adds another little element, especially with the cottage style that I'm going for. I'm going to add a plate stand from Hobby Lobby. In fact, I think I'm going to move this all over a little bit. And then I love to add greenery this time of year, so I've got a little faux plant in a wicker vase. And on top of that, I am going to add a cloche that I thrifted. And I'm going to place that on top of that faux plant. And then I'm going to move the camera up so you can see a little bit better. There's there. Okay, next to that, I am going to add a candlestick with a tapered LED candle there. And then lastly, I am just going to add a coffee table book and a wooden box that I thrifted. Boxes are big this year, according to the trends. And that's all I'm going to do over here. So I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to give you what it all looks like put together. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me and decorating my living room with me. If you have any suggestions, because you guys are fantastic about doing that, please put them down in the comments. I struggle with this room, and it's just not where I would want it to be. Let's put it that way. Next week, we're going to do a small vignette over there. I don't do hearts and I don't do cutesy things for Valentine's Day. I very rarely actually decorate for Valentine's Day, but I thought I would show you a vignette using vintage items to give you that romantic Valentine's Day feel without all the hearts and cutesy stuff. So that'll be next week's video. If you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And consider hitting that subscribe button and becoming part of my YouTube family. I would love that. And I will see you all next week.